Pickup Lines is presented by Gamez Law Firm. Personal injury guidance for more than 50 years. Gamez Law fights. By Integrity Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated for more than 40 years, serving the San Antonio area for roofing, siding, and renovation needs. And by the Sabinal Group. For nearly 20 years, serving the San Antonio region through professional minority general contracting services. Pickup Lines is broadcast from inside the all-electric Lexus RZ450e, courtesy of North Park Lexus at Dominion and North Park Lexus of San Antonio.
And just like that, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pickup Lines, the talk show in a car. And we are back once again with a guy who just... I'm more impressed with Jason Massiatte. The more I read, the more I'm impressed. He's a man who, again, he's another one of those people whose business card would be like 8.5 by 11. You've got a lot going on. He does have a lot going on, which is not a bad thing. But first and foremost, we are here at Hila's Heart. You are the president and CEO of Hila's Heart, which essentially is a nonprofit that's devoted to helping families and patients of childhood cancer.
That's correct.
We'll get into that here in just a little bit. We have a lot to get to with Jason here over the course of the next few minutes. You've just celebrated your 1-year anniversary as the head of this organization?
Yes. As of January, I was a year in, and it's been an amazing ride.
Fantastic. He's, by the way, you can add champion boxer to his, which we'll show the belt in just a little bit, but... already in 2025, you have stepped in the ring and you have fought.
Yes, I have.
Like literally, not figuratively.
No. A real boxing match, like sanctioned fight. Yeah.
And you survived.
I did. It's not like a fight in high school or middle school. You know, this was legit.
But you said don't touch the face. That's the only thing, right? This is your.
Yeah, well, I tried, but I think he hit me a couple times. But I was good. I don't think I felt it.
The bottom line is he won the fight, which we'll talk about, and it was for a very good cause, which we'll also talk about here in just a little bit. But I want to bring people up to speed on what's happening here at Hila's Heart, because again, now that you have a year under your belt, you have a better sense of what you're doing, what you've been able to do, what you'd like to do in 2025 and beyond. So how would you explain to the audience, those who are not familiar with Hila's Heart, and this is the signature heart, which I know is difficult to see on the lapel pin, but that's the signature heart. How would you describe this organization to people who are not familiar with Hila's Heart?
So, an organization that works with families that are battling childhood cancer. So, it's not just the patient, it's the entire family. So, the goal is to provide support for these individuals and the family so they could focus on the healing of their child.
Right. And listen, we all know of the amazing, I'm a board member for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, right? I mean, Komen, name it, there's so many great organizations that help people with cancer. And we all know somebody, right, who's had that to battle that. But you guys specialize in young people, and I wonder sometimes if pediatric cancer patients don't get as much attention or coverage in the media as say their adult counterparts.
The answer is yes. So it's a scary thing that there's such a big gap, not just in our community, but on the federal level, of the lack of attention and funding for these families. So that's my goal for this year, is to bring more awareness. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it? It's a scary issue. Yeah. I think, when you see the images of children in pain, normally you change the channel or you don't want to read that. It hurts your heart. Right. But the reality is you need to be aware that it's here, it's in your community, and everybody's affected with cancer in one way or another. Right. But the children are the ones that don't have a voice, so we got to be the voice for them. So that's what the goal is to get more community investment into supporting the families that I serve. Well said. We'll talk about Stella in just a little bit, who, God bless her, is not battling one, but two cancers in particular, including a blood cancer. And because I lost my mother to blood cancer years ago, I mean, that hits me especially hard. And you fought for Stella, quite literally here, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Hila's Heart, though, is not the only thing in your life. I mean, you've got a lot going on, right? I do a lot of things. I am the vice chair for American Red Cross, South Central Texas, and I sit on the board of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Right. So I stay pretty busy. But you were in the furniture business for a long time, correct? I was. For you literally worked your way up? 22 years. I went from lumping furniture to managing operations to executive vice president to regional vice president. So running 5 offices in the state of Texas.
My gosh. So when you have to put something together, does that bother you? Or you
No,
can
it
do that in
doesn't.
your
It's
sleep
like,
now?
I mean, Gloria likes to move around our furniture, our founder.
Gloria here at
Gloria
Mahila's.
here at Mahila's. And so we're always, like, every month we have somebody walks in and like, well, it looks completely different. We just moved the furniture around. Well, you got to move her here. So it makes it
Quite literally, on the payroll.
On the payroll.
Which helps. Which helps. But you stayed very busy. I want to go backwards here because either I had not read this, or I wasn't aware, or I forgot, or a combination of all those things. I'm impressed by you, and I think a lot of people who see this will know who you are, especially in the corporate circles here in San Antonio. But I wonder how often you think about where you are today. Father of 8, correct?
Father of 8 children.
Father of 8, including twins, by the way. So we're in the twins club. Considering the childhood you had, the teenage years you had, you were a father at a very young age. Did you drop out of high school?
I did initially, and I went back to school, and
Right.
I actually graduated at UIW when I was 38 years old.
In 2018.
In 2018.
So not too long ago, which yes, I kind of figured he must have finished high school at one point. But your formative years, your teenage years, I mean, to say the least, were not fun in many cases.
No, but that's one of the reasons that I was focused on giving back when I got to a position, where I could.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Mirasoles Courts to Wheatley Courts to the south side of San Antonio.
Yeah.
So west side, east side to the south side. So I was that kid. Grew up in the projects initially. That I was on services. My family, and I wanted to end that cycle. Not even knowing, even as a teenage parent, that I needed to kind of push and change things in my life.
You said there was a point in time where you had nowhere to go. You would bounce around, I guess, friends' houses and hang out with them. And that I read one time you hid in a friend's closet because you were afraid of that either they were going to put you somewhere else or you had nowhere else to go.
Right. So, and this is, I talk about this when I speak to younger youth,
Right.
and young adults that are trying to get through life. Everybody faces challenges. And there was a point in time where I hid in friends' closets to have a place to sleep. And a lot of people don't really know that part of me, for those
Right.
who don't know my story. But there was a really good friend of mine who's a community leader also, Luis Rodriguez. His mother actually gave me a place to stay. And I lived with him for a few years in high school. And those are those angels that kind of give you that hope and know that there's somebody that actually cares. So that's why it's important, to have some kind of act of kindness, because I could have been part of that statistic, that young teenage parent, homeless. Anything can happen at that point.
Well, I was going to say, statistically, you probably should not be sitting here.
Right. And I'm just one of many, and so many people have so many more hardships
Right.
than I encountered in my life.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, and that's what I think is so powerful about these stories, to hear you overcome these kinds of things and to be where you are today is, like I said, it's truly inspiring. How did those experiences shape? I mean, you're, again, father of 8, lovely wife, I know. God bless both of you. How did that shape you as a father, as a parent, how you parent your kids today, for example?
Well, initially, as anybody that has kids, I think I was a little too strict with my
Yes.
older kids, and they always remind me because it's you want to protect them.
Right.
That's a parent's goal, to protect them. Then I realized you got to let them kind of be themselves.
Yes.
And so in doing that, you're still steering into the right direction, but you got to practice what you preach. That's one of the reasons I went back to school.
Right.
Because I can't advocate for my own children if I myself didn't have a college degree or didn't finish schooling or didn't accomplish certain things. Like I had to show them.
Yes.
So and then preach, not just preach it,
Was it difficult to go back to school? Because, again, you just graduated in 2018 from UIW.
No, it actually, because I was already in business in the corporate world,
Okay.
everything just made sense. So for those adults that are thinking about going back to school, if you've already done the work,
Right.
I was actually leading the teams and projects and stuff. 'Cause
Yes.
it just made sense to me as an adult than it did as a child. So I think it happened for a reason.
But you didn't have the paper, right? You didn't have the diploma.
Right.
And that's, I mean, because in theory, it sounds like you knew what you were doing. You maybe didn't necessarily have to go back to school, or did you?
Well, I went to SAC to get my placement test
Got it.
because I didn't have a diploma. And then later on, I went to UIW. I applied there.
How great is that? 2018, though, you were also in the Alex Briseno Leadership Development Program, which I know, and you were the valedictorian?
I was in ABLDP.
Top in his class. How did that program, I've heard a lot about it. How did that shape you and kind of just enhance what you had from UIW and just make it better?
So, growing up the way I did, even though I was moving in the right direction within the community, I still didn't realize how important one voice was. And I kind of found my identity in that leadership program. And a lot of people that were with me during that time are in higher positions in the community, are now giving back because I realized that my voice does matter. Yeah. You know, and proud to be Latino too.
That too, as well. And I mean, you see that common thread of the entrepreneurship or the leadership skills, but the giving back too, which is just super cool. Super cool. Okay. So let's bring it back to Mahila's heart here. Again, you had been connected to this organization before you took over in an official capacity a little more than a year ago.
So I was a board member, a founding board member when we got established our 501c3 in 2019, and I've been on the board since then. And prior to stepping into the role, I was the board chair. And it was just an honor and a blessing to be offered a position like this. This is my dream job, to actually do something, raise money, not to fill people's pockets, but to help the community, help those in need.
Yeah. And fitting, I mean, we're just a stone's throw away from the medical center. So quite literally, young people that could be impacted by what you're doing are just walking distance from where we're sitting right now. But again, San Antonio is a very generous community, but unfortunately, the numbers would suggest that there is room for improvement when it comes to supporting pediatric cancer patients.
Yes, and in what a lot of what I've learned. So last year was kind of a fact-finding mission for me. Who's going to invest? And I will highlight Gamez Law Firm, Carmen and Joe Gamez. Amazing. I've
heard of them.
Amazing. You know, in Community First, Cynthia de la Peña, you know, who's a recent board member. So I'm highlighting. So I'm sorry, other board members. I will talk about you too. But it's important to have them understand what it contributes. When I look at a pillar or a mission for an organization, they say resilient communities and, you know, health and wellness. Well, that applies to our families. You know, so when I'm asking to serve the community that follows your mission. And I don't always get a yes, but it's okay. I'm going to keep going until we find the ones that are ready to invest in these families.
Nobody bats 1,000, right, when it comes to this kind of work and everything. But I think part of it, too, is just the awareness. A lot of people have money to give, or corporate names have money to give. They're just not aware that you're here or that you've been doing this kind of stuff for so long, or maybe they don't think it's a big deal, a big problem here in San Antonio.
So I'll get a little heavy on it. So since my year that I've taken, we lost a child every single month. And that's here within locally. That's here in the community. These are not stats from a national organization. It's here. And that's only for the families that we touch. So for the ones that we haven't, statistically, nationally, the national average is 1,800 children a year die from pediatric cancer. But if you think about the numbers here locally, that's a big chunk of those numbers to be here in our community. And that's why it's important to not just learn who we are, come visit us. I'm very open. I'm welcome. You're welcome to email me, come by, you know, give me a call if you want to learn how to get to know who we are, you know, whether it's volunteer or it's investment or just understanding that we exist here to serve our own local community.
Very easy to get to right off of I-10. If you know where the CarMax is, what is it? The medical center, the medical exit, or the Huebner exit?
Right off of I-10. Yes, I-10, right where Medical Drive is, Fountain Circle. So it's right off the highway. Easy access.
If nothing else, come in, see the building. It's just aesthetically, it looks really pretty inside with all it's these hearts that have been painted 1,000 times over. I was in here one time painting one of those hearts, I recall. But come take a look at it, and if nothing else, just learn more. You talk about fighting for families, the funding gap, and everything. Part of your work, I guess, is as an advocate as well.
Well, for the families themselves, I have to advocate for more funding for them, not just in the role as a president, but just in general. So what happened right before the government shut down? There was a bill that was cut. to help for these children. And so that's important for us to talk about it, because a lot of people aren't aware of it. Out of all the things, it was a bipartisan bill, so both parties got together, but for some reason they cut it. So the hope is that we can revisit that bill. So I am traveling to SA to DC with the chambers to see if I can possibly get a voice and have a conversation with our elected officials there.
Do you have a sense, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but do you have a sense in terms of, if you were to take a dollar figure and somebody's watching this and they say, I have $10,000 to give, I have $100,000 to give, or I have $100 to give, can you give us a sense in terms of what kind of impact that could make at the various levels of giving?
Yeah, absolutely. So $10,000 can support about 15 families. So and when I say families, we're not just supporting the child. It's giving a gift isn't really what we're looking at. It's providing an impact. So we provide nutritional classes. We provide mental support in regards to counseling services. We've recently partnered up with the Center for Healthcare Services,
right,
and working with JCC. So I'll be calling you David Garcia, so we could have that conversation. And it's so much more that we invest in the family, because we want to have an impact for long term. We want them to know that they're not alone, that they actually have a community to support them.
So $10,000 again can impact 15 families, and if you just do the math, you can see exponentially depending on your ability to give.
I mean, and $100,000 can go not just to the programming, but the operations of making sure that we're engaging with the families.
Okay.
So as I grow, I want to add more staff members so we can support a bigger sector of the community.
I got it. Okay, you mentioned nutrition just a little while ago. You guys recently have partnered with UT Health and University Hospital.
That's right. So UT Health and University Hospital have a grant with Hyundai called Hope on Wheels. So they came to us and said, we would like to partner up to have an organization where we can host these nutritional classes.
Right.
And it's open to anybody that's either affected or have conquered cancer or in the fight. So we hosted our last one on Saturday, and our first one, and it's exciting because it's something that's providing a resource for these families. That way they can help, and it's an easy way to say, hey, let's eat healthy so you can be resilient to whatever you're going through in that moment. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if HEB's watching, if they could partner up with us so we could put meal kits together, I'm going to just throw it out there.
HEB.
I'm never afraid of asking, why not?
The worst that can happen is a no.
It's
right?
a no.
Look,
you're going to say no to the kids? Come on.
He is laying it on thick. HEB celebrating their, their 120th anniversary, so, and they're very generous. But this is part of just raising that awareness and everything.
It is.
How many people think about the nutritional aspect in terms of trying to fight cancer?
It's not at the top of the mind, but let me go back real quick. HEB has supported us.
Yes.
Has supported us. Last year during our Weeks of Giving, they sponsored some families. We got a good dollar amount from them and some gift cards to provide groceries. So thank you for that one. But I'm looking for more support for 2025.
We can always look for more.
The nutritional aspect is not at the top of the mind, even in our community. I mean, we eat really well as Latinos in this community, and predominantly that's who we serve. But we got to think about that, because what we put into our body is how our body reacts. And so we're trying to educate the public. We're trying to educate our community on how to eat a little healthier.
Okay. We can always, Lord knows I could, make some improvements sometimes in my life and everything. All right, so let's put a face to this. You were approached not too long ago to box, to fight.
Yes.
Gamez Law would appreciate this, right? Carmen and Joe Gamez, if they're watching. Take me to that day, that moment when the outreach was made, and they're like, Jason, we would like you to get in the ring and throw hands, if you will.
Okay, so it actually was at Gamez's office. So it was at
I don't know this story, by the way.
Okay, so I was there actually receiving a check. One of their lawyers, their attorneys, fought on behalf of my Hilas.
Okay.
And so they were there with Jesse James Leja and his team.
James Leja, who puts on this event.
Yes, so as I was collecting the check, in jest, I said, well, I wouldn't mind getting behind, getting in the ring.
There you go.
And, of course, a phone call a week later, like, hey, are you serious? And I was like, oh, this is for real. Yes, I'm serious. So that's kind of how it started. So amazing organization, Leja Family Foundation, and the Leja Gym that's trained over there. So it's been phenomenal.
James Leja is a legend, obviously, in this town. I think this was the second year, right, in 2025. It was the red carpet brawl at the Boeing Techport, I believe, the arena.
Correct.
And so the idea was you trained. Are you quite literally trained?
I trained for about maybe about 18 weeks. I trained for about 18 weeks, lost about 24 pounds. And then to be in weight regulation, I had to gain 10 pounds back.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I was a little underweight that way because it's a sanctioned fight.
What division were you fighting in?
Amateur.
Okay, what well, I'm not going to ask you how much you weigh, but it's like okay. Featherweight and lightweight.
230, I'm heavyweight.
Heavyweight, okay.
Yeah.
So who did you fight?
So a gentleman by the name of Edwin. So he was fighting for his cause, and I think initially he was working with Elmer's. I think that was the organization at the time. Not sure what happened, but they had asked me what my plan. They interviewed me right before I got into the ring. Like, hey, what's your strategy? What's going on? I'm like, to win. So that's my strategy, to win. These families don't have an option. So for me, fighting for a family and for instance, for like Stella, for instance, or the little girl we support, it was an honor to step in the ring and do that for them. I love
it. Before we show the belt, let's show Stella real quick so we can. I said we were literally going to put a face. I know there's a glare here. So that's you with, and I'm gonna sneak in here so we can see Stella. There's Stella right there. What do we need to know about young Stella?
So Stella is a fighter. She has amazing parents, Cynthia and Victor, who've been part of our community, and she's fighting 2 types of cancer.
Right now.
Right now.
Imagine. I mean, one cancer is terrible enough. I know. Was it lymphoma? Is the
lymphoma's one, and the other one is brain tumors. Brain cancer. And I say this guy. I did ask permission from mother.
Yes.
But they are a wonderful, wonderful family. They're just like anybody else's neighbor.
Right.
A great family. Have other children, and we have other families that we support, like Jaime Sanchez and his family.
Right.
So it's important that the public knows that these are people within your community and that we're supporting. So it was important for me to get in that ring and fight for these families.
And this was taken right before you got in the ring?
This was taken right before.
Okay.
And then I do have another picture afterwards where we're holding up the fist, but it was amazing. It was a life-changing moment for me.
But a great metaphor. I mean, quite literally and figuratively fighting, cancer and everything. It's pretty impressive. And you came away with, I mean, this is an impressive belt and quite heavy, I might add. Look at that thing.
It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. Not everybody can say they have a...
No, champion belt. Technically, I am an amateur fighter, registered amateur fighter. So in my book, it's 1-0.
Okay, so you can. I was going to say this.
I can get in the ring
question
again.
Is there a rematch, or would you do this again?
If a funder put enough money that we could bring to our organization, I wouldn't mind getting in the ring again.
I like
this for these families.
I like that. We could assign a dollar amount to this and. Get you back in the ring and figure out something.
Fighting for a cause.
I'm assuming James Leha is going to do this again next year and everything.
I think so. I think so.
And I know the Gamez law firm, they're very much into the boxing scene and they support this.
They did sponsor me during the fight too. So they did get a table for our families battling cancer.
Yeah. How old did you say Stella is?
9 years old.
9. Oh my goodness. Beautiful young girl right there. Very good. All right, so you got a lot on your plate, obviously, for 2025. In addition to what we've talked about, I mean, what other things would you like to see happen with Mahila's Heart, and what are the goals that you have?
So the goals is to grow our current partners that are investing and to reach out to others. For others is to get to know who we are and then help us. What I will say, though, what's been awesome is San Antonio Ballet is collaborating with us, providing adventures for them. Just talked to Magic Theater. They want to do something for our families too. Alamo City, they are also doing something with our families. Actually, they just gave 50 tickets to us, and our families were able to enjoy, an event. So this is the other things that we're looking at. How do we collaborate within the community? Also being a good steward of the funds that we receive. So San Antonio Zoo has helped us out, and I'm looking towards Fiesta, Texas, to see if they're willing to do something with our families, and maybe Santikos Theater. I want to keep on growing that partnership in the community.
They have a foundation, obviously, and a very, very generous. It just occurred to me while you were saying all this. So last year in 2024, I was on the Ray Feo court with John McFadden and Ray Feo 75. This was for Fiesta 2024. Right. But it was probably around this time, in the weeks leading up to Fiesta, we went all over town for school visits and everything, but we made a stop at the medical center, and we went up to the pediatric cancer patients at one of the hospitals and I want to say it was Christus, but for obvious reasons we couldn't go into the rooms, but we could see into the rooms and hand them, give medals and stuff. It absolutely just tore my heart because you would see the kids, obviously, and their families were in there as well. And it really, a year later, it still stuck with me, just what I saw and experienced that day, just in the short time we were there.
So what I will share with you is a lot of times the families, and this is one of the reasons it's important to have this kind of support for them. Though it's two parents that have an income.
Yeah.
And the one of the parents has to stop working to be able to take the child to treatment. And this cycle happens where they're at that breaking point where they cannot get food stamps or any other assistance.
Right.
So they're picking and choosing, do I pay my bill? Do I put food on the table? And that should never be a thing within our community. And this is happening in San Antonio. So this is the hard thing. And this is why it's important to make that ask. And I'm asking, the community, support us, invest in us. You can see what we're doing for these families. And
again, it's an open house here. I mean, you can quite literally come here. They're like I said, they're right off of I-10 in the medical center area. Come and just see with your own eyes and take it in for yourself, and then you can decide how you want to give or how you want to support the organization. The website is mahilasheart.org. Mahilas, M-A-H-I-L-A-S, mahilasheart.org. .org. And again, this is the signature heart. Where you come here, you will see that heart hundreds of times over.
Right. We can give you a shirt. We can give you a tumbler. Come and visit us. Get to know who we are. It's always welcoming, and it's very colorful inside.
It is.
We do that for a reason. We don't want to have a clinical space. It's a place of respite.
I love it. No, I walked in there just a little while ago, and I immediately felt a little calm and very cool. And I know if people give at a certain level, you have these beautiful, is it acrylic or it's like a glass heart?
We do have these acrylic hearts that are different levels, but you're welcome to give beyond those levels to help these families.
Absolutely. I guess kind of as we wrap things up here, are there any I don't know, I don't want to say misconceptions, but just anything about what you guys do, maybe that people don't understand about Mahila's Heart, or just to speak to the need again, if you could appeal directly to the people who are watching this, just what do they need to know about what you're doing and how important the help is?
Well, I guess this is a message for the corporations. If you're looking at resilient communities and what pillars you want to hit, even if it's early childhood education, or if it's mental wellness, or even hunger, food insecurity, we support all of those causes. Number one, a child, if they can't make it to the school, they're not going to get educated, and these are the children that we serve. So if you think about it, we roll into the pillars themselves. And if you're looking at financial institutions, having financial literacy for these families is a help. So supporting that cause through the banks, very much like Generations who supports us, IBC, and there's so many, Amarillo Bank, who's actually helped us. So that's a way you can give back, and also volunteering. And for the public, if you want to subscribe to us, you'll get our monthly newsletter. It doesn't cost much. Even it's $5 or less. Something actually goes to impact these families. So I appreciate it, even for listening. Thank you, Ernie, so much.
Oh gosh, no. I've enjoyed getting to know, Gloria first, and then yourself, and I've had friends who have volunteered here. I've been to holiday events. I think when Santa was here once upon a time, we got to hang out and everything. So I really do encourage you, go online, mahilasheart.org. Come see them here right off of I-10 in the medical center, or do your own research and find out. Again, it's really impressive what you've been able to do, what you've overcome to get to where you are. You're a champion boxer now as well, among many, many other things.
Roll that back up
there. There he is. Show him. Undefeated in your boxing career.
Yes.
And continuing to fight the good fight.
I'm going to keep fighting for these families.
There he is, the great Jason Massiatte, the president and CEO of Mahila's Heart, mahilasheart.org, to find out more. And again, he can be bought for the right price. We'll get him back in the ring.
I'll get back in the ring if I need to.
And he will defend his title. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All the best to see you.
Of course.
Thank you all so much for watching. Be safe out there. It's not the most Chamber of Commerce type weather here in San Antonio right now, but be safe out there. Thank you for your continued support and for watching another episode of Pickup Lines. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.